Ugh. God damn, man. See if we can work on his lighting a little bit. Oh, that was too much.
Good morning, my friends. How are you?
Oh, I'm feeling a little better now.
A little better?
A little bit of light on the
Elvis
subject.
behind you.
Do you know where I'm at?
Graceland.
Yeah, I get around, man.
Aren't you proud of me for knowing that?
Yeah, that's good. You're probably the only one who will know it.
Let's see here. I love Todd Paxton's hair too.
Yeah. So our 10 o'clock check-in is not going to happen today, is it?
I don't know.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Paxton. How are you, sir?
Real good. How are you all?
Good.
I'm doing great, man.
I think we're all looking
Check this out.
fantastic this morning. Are you in Tennessee?
Yep.
I'm so
Isn't that
jealous.
awesome?
Oh,
It's our
You poor
morning view.
guy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Can
So,
you boys see my screen?
yep.
All right, perfect. So I'll show them how to Google Drive, and then you can share your
Now, here's a
screen,
question.
okay?
Do you want me to go there and I start doing screen sharing a little bit?
Do you know how to get into the Google Drive?
I know how to get into my Google Drive, and I just need to go to like a shared with me, right?
Yeah, so you can, I'll stop sharing, you can go ahead and do it then.
No. Not necessarily. Hang tight.
You look like a mountain man this morning.
Hey, man, this, what are the rules anymore?
I don't think there are rules.
That's the way I look at it. So what do I go to search? KW?
You're just going to click on shared with me
Mm-hmm.
on the left, and then you should see a folder called KW Sew-In Resource Center. Hi, Morgan.
Good morning.
I'm so excited to see you
Morning.
all. And then you can just share your screen, and then we won't have to
I'll do
flip
that
back
now.
and forth. How's your internet connection up there?
Oh, it's good.
Good.
We've got, I mean, it gets bad sometimes, but it's not like we're too far. I mean, we're only half hour, 20 minutes from town. It's not
Oh,
real
okay.
bad.
And then you're going to go under listing resources. And it's the one that says, please download. So over here on the right-hand side, under your Paxton Group logo, if you click that little list view, down a little bit.
Right-hand side.
Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
Well, that's nice.
It's
This
that
one?
one right there. Yep. And they can just download it to
Okay.
their desktop. You don't want to put stuff
Okay.
in there. And then you'll be good to go.
Can I edit this now? Yeah.
I would go up to where it says open with,
Yep.
and then choose the spreadsheet. Yep. Perfect. Hey, Craigerly, what's up?
Hey, good morning. I'm gonna pop on and say hello.
Hello.
Craig.
Hi, Craig.
Hello, Pappy.
Todd, you should show them where you are. It's beautiful.
You better be careful. I may end up down
Craig
there when I
knows.
see you.
Craig knows. Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah. Can I show you my favorite picture inside the cabin?
Of course.
Right there. Can't see it too well. It's the Indiana Big Wheel,
Oh, it is.
autographed.
Is that Mrs.
You ever
Paxton in the
notice that?
background?
Well, that's Claire making
Oh, hi,
coffee. Good morning, Claire.
Of course she's cooking. She's making pancakes, I bet.
Oh yeah, dude, she made cake pops last night. So a lot of kids, they'll go to sports games or practice. Just gets in the kitchen and gets to work, and I love it.
That's awesome.
Okay, what did I do? What did I do here?
Oh, I'm not sure. Just click on the KW logo and delete it. You were probably trying to get it out of your way. Here you go.
No, I know what I did. It's all good. So here, what time is it? 10:03.
Let's see. Yep, we're good to go.
All right. We're going to change this.
Oh, oops, I didn't update it since I put it in there.
In a while. It's okay.
I'm going to mute myself in case my dogs go crazy.
Wait a minute. It's not all right.
Hi, Miss Shannon.
Sean, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. It's perfect.
Okay. Not background noise or anything. If it gets loud with the wind, let me know.
Okay, will do. And we are recording, so you're good to go.
Oh, got me a cake pop for breakfast. Thank you, baby. No, we just use almond milk or oat milk. It's okay. Good morning. Welcome to, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. All right. We're going to cover the estimated net sheet that Bob, tell us what the brokerage wants us to do with this net sheet. Like every time we have an offer, submit a copy of this to the market center. Explain that process for us.
Well, when you first take a listing, you want to do it before you list it, so you know they're going to come out okay. And then, yeah, when you get an offer, you need to do another net sheet for your client and get them to sign off on it, and then you can just put it in the file. The reason you want them to sign off on it is because you don't want to get
So
the
this
closing.
is-
Yeah, go ahead.
No, what's the importance of a net sheet? Why do we do it?
Well, we do it for a lot of reasons. We do it because we want the client to know what their net's going to be before they get to the closing table. And we do it to protect ourselves so that they can't, so that they don't come back later and say, well, I thought you told me I was going to make $1 million on this deal instead of the $900,000 that I'm now going to make on that $200,000 sale.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, I've seen cases
Yeah.
where
Sean Blevins, sorry, Craig, go ahead, buddy.
I've just seen a couple instances over the years, not many, but where an agent didn't necessarily focus too much on calculating an approximate net sheet, and the seller said, it comes out where the seller's, not gonna break even, or if they're 3,000, they got to bring 3,000 to the table, and the seller's like, I can't do that. So that's one, that's an important reason to do this, is just to kind of have a clear understanding of where they are.
And explain to your
Bob or
seller that
Craig,
it's
that's never happened to one of us. Yeah. So early on in real estate, it was like, oh, you got an offer, whatever. Well, how much am I going to make at closing? We'll find out when they give us the settlement statement. No, you're the market expert. You're the professional. You're the market expert. You help them get an idea of the, like Sean said, estimated. It's right here. Can you see the screen? Nod ahead.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the estimated seller net proceeds sheet. When we get a we want to have an idea of where we're going.
You're getting a little windy out there.
It's like,
Yep,
damn,
it's breaking up.
cool. Not windy in here. Just didn't want to be too loud. And cool. So the reason this is important is when we take a listing, we want to know where we want to help the seller predict where they're going to end up at closing financially. And so they know, well, I'm going to make about $4,700 on the sale of this home. That's $4,700 I'll be able to put down on my new home. Or, whatever their situation is. This is important because this is, like Craig and Bob said, this is one of the documents that if we don't do this, it could get us in trouble later on at closing. Well, you didn't tell me I was only making $4,700 and I need $12,000 to put down on my new home. Yeah. Now guess who doesn't get 2 commission checks? You, because you didn't do this document. It's that simple. There are other proceeds sheets available. Momentum has a really good one on their website. This is one that we made probably 10 or 12 years ago, and it's just kind of the simplest way for me to understand. And this is something we've shared with the Market Center that's kind of been beneficial through the years. Sean, this is under the KW SON Resource Center. Then you go to listing resources, and then you go to KW variable nut sheet, and we're supposed to download this and not make edits to. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's where that is, and for the recording, we'll just dig right in. Again, we never want to talk, this is how much you're gonna make to the penny. No, we're not that good, and that's not our highest and best use. We will find out to the penny once we get the Alta settlement statement at closing. So let's just pretend we got an offer of $174,600. You just type that in here. Let's say it's $179,900, right? It automatically formats. They're going to ask $3,000 in closing costs, and this is basically the net offer. Commission is 7%. Then let's just pretend these are the 2 areas you want to talk about this recently. So the spring bill is out and due mid-May. So we want to, this is the 2019 payable in 2020 tax bill for the spring only. Okay. So let's just say the taxes are $2,000 a year. We'll do 2,000 divided by 2. Oops. What does that say? Divide that by 2. Am I getting the same thing? No. So this formula is simple. Equals 2,000 divided by 2. And that's for the spring taxes that are due now. Then we want to add in the prorated amount for 2020 payable 21. So we can do equals 2,000. Our estimated closing date, let's just say, is 5/30/2020, right? So right here, we take 5/30, that is 5 full months of the year, times 30 days, that's 150 days. Annual tax bills 2,000. We divide that by 360. Then times that by 150. And it'll get us $833. Again, annual tax, $2,000. Divide that by 360 days. That's what they base prorations on. And then multiply it by the amount of days in the year at closing, 530. Okay. Now, questions so far from our live audience? Good. What we'll need to do here, because this is the spring bill, we've omitted the fall bill. So we add that into the proration, or we can add it here to the total year and just go with 2,000. All right. You need to put a little brain into the, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Okay. We need to put a little brain power into this. So this will be your spring and fall. Just take a note that this is spring and fall bills, 2,000 for last year, and the prorated amount for this year for 2020, which isn't payable until 21, is 833, because we're going to approximate close on May 30th. Now, as of today, we only know the 2019 tax bill in Indiana. Kentucky is different, I believe. In Indiana, taxes are paid. It is, okay, thanks. Taxes are paid in arrears in Indiana, meaning the tax bill that we pay, I think it's May 15th or what have you, is actually for last year's taxes, okay? And it's only for the first half of the year. That's why we have two, for this example, 1,000 in the spring, 1,000 in the fall. That's 2019 taxes, but they're not due and payable until 2020. So in this example, it catches up last year's taxes right here. Then, hey, Todd, we're not closing until May. Who's responsible for the January 1st until May 30th taxes? Well, the homeowner is, if we negotiated to prorate the taxes in the purchase agreement. Had 1,700 closings, and I've only seen something other than a tax proration less than 10 times. Okay, you can assume the tax bill, all kinds of ways to make the numbers work. 99.99% of the time, we prorate the taxes. Now, some auction companies will have you assume the tax bill. If you get in that situation, just get with your manager or team leader to kind of go over those details. So when we prorate the taxes, again, this is kind of tricky, so I want to spend a little time here. The annual tax bill is $2,000. That is in our contract, it states we will prorate the taxes based upon the last available tax bill. The last available tax bill is the 2019 tax bill, which in this example is $2,000 a year. We divide that by 360, multiply it by the days of year, by the amount of days in the year that homeowner owned the home. This example would be January 1st to May 30th, 150 days on the proration, okay? So again, 2,000 annual tax bill divided by 360 times it by the 150 days, you get the simple equation there, okay? Why are we prorated on last year's bill? Because quite frankly, this 2020 taxes, the bills aren't available yet. They won't be available until 2021 because they do the reassessments we'll do reassessments next year for the following year. They just did reassessments this spring for this year, okay? So this year we got our tax bill a few weeks ago. Here we are, end of April. April 29th, I think, 2020. Dates don't matter anymore, do they? So we're end of April 2020. A couple weeks ago, we got our tax bills. And then like last week, we got our reassessments. The tax bill was for 2019, payable 2020. Those assessments are for the 2020 assessments that we will get the tax bill next spring for this year's taxes. I hope I haven't confused you. I've parked here quite a while just to bring it home that we pay, in summary, in Indiana, we pay taxes in arrears. It's important to make sure we cover the spring and fall bill here and the prorated amount. Let's fast forward. If we were doing this in later this year and the spring bill had already been paid, we just do this. We prorate based upon the fall bill, and then we just cut this in half. Okay. That's if we were in the second half of the year, if the spring bill had already been paid. Okay. Any questions on that? Get with me and or leadership at Keller Williams. Moving on. Home warranty, put the amount here. So we've got purchase price, closing cost, net offer, commissions. This commission is based upon the number. It should be, we're going to change that to B5. All right. This commission is based upon this number. If the seller says, I'm not paying closing cost, commission on closing costs, that comes up every once in a while. Make sure your co-op agent's okay with it, and then just put that here. My opinion is 7% of $3,000 times 50 closings a year, a lot of money you're leaving on the table. I would negotiate that to come off of the total sales price. Okay.
Hey,
Then
Todd.
commission, your taxes, we just.
Sorry, quick question. For newer agents entering the industry, can you explain where you're getting your closing cost from, and that you should always overestimate those numbers?
From a buyer side, you should always overestimate them. From a seller side, it's okay. From a buyer side, rewind. I've had too much coffee. So in this example, $179,900 is the purchase price that the buyer's agent has written the contract for. $3,000 is the approximate amount that the buyer's agent has coordinated, not with the buyer, coordinated with the loan officer that preferably they are already pre-approved with and have a strong relationship with, not just some internet lender in Wichita, Kansas. So having a relationship with that lender, understanding that this amount, $3,000, is what the lender estimates that the closing cost and prepaids would be. Estimated, and you can estimate a little high here to cover the buyer. Now, in the purchase agreement, it says seller to pay up to $3,000 in closing cost and prepaids. I always budget that of $3,000 on the seller side when we're talking with a seller. It could come back to be $2,800, $2,800, whatever, but it could be up to $3,000. And there are some lending rules behind the scenes that I'm not smart enough to know that says they can only charge a certain amount. Well, if that's the case, a buyer's agent, if it's $2,800, we're technically leaving $200 on the table. That's okay in some instances, or they may want to put that extra $200 towards a second year of a home warranty or a first year of a home warranty. The buyer may have to pay that difference, but there's just other minuscule negotiation points that you could go into. Sean, did I cover all your points there? I want to make sure, and if I didn't, please add what you would like to there.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So that I am a fan personally of a flat number in a purchase agreement. A lot of times we'll see, $179,900 seller to pay up to 6% in closing cost or 3% in closing cost. I just think that, and I don't know how some lenders operate. It's simpler, black and white for everyone involved if it is a flat number. Because a lot of times in the past, we've seen those, some loan officers say, well, we'll just use 3% as the number, and they'll use it all and like take advantage of people. So not bashing loan officers when I say this, just please try your best to get a flat number here for clarity purposes mainly. Add in the home warranty if there's one requested. A deed that the title company, the seller typically pays for the deed, $150 or so. I love our attorneys we work with. Every time you step in their office, they're going to charge you. That's my kind of presentation joke. So $500 typically on the seller side, in addition to the buyer's negotiated, it is the seller side. Okay. Real quick, back to the seller side. Seller said, I'm not paying any closing costs. Well, you can say that, but here's how we present that. Mr. Seller, this isn't a, then you would just kind of change the script and say, well, let me ask you this. You're asking $179,900 for your house. Would you sell it for $176,900? Well, yeah. Okay. So here's an offer of $176,900. And what the buyer is actually going to do, they're going to add $3,000 to their loan that they're borrowing for 30 years. And on paper, it looks like it's $179,900, but really it's an offer to you for $176,900. Would you sell it for $176,900? Yeah. Okay, cool. And if you would sell it at $176,900, here's how the numbers break down, blah, 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 blah. Okay. A lot of times we have that conversation of, I'm not paying closing costs. Well, you're not. It says the buyer's money over 30 years, and really kind of behind the scenes, it doesn't really, the only thing that really matters to them, is the net down here. Okay. So when we're talking with them, either at the listing or before the listing, always, my opinion, always get their mortgage payoff if there is one. Again, we've had horror stories with the seasoned agents going into a closing, not even knowing what their mortgage payoff is. Well, I mean, you got to know what you're working with from day one, whether or not you can even sell their home. And if they sell their home at a profit or at a loss, they have to, I mean, we as agents, we represent them with their fiduciary interest in mind. This is a key element of that to make sure.
Hey, Todd?
And if they do take a loss, they might be prepared to take that loss. Sir.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a minute if you'll let me. I do this, but I also have another line item, and that's possible repairs. So when a client says, hey man, I can't do these repairs, I said, but wait, we budgeted for this much money for possible repairs. So yeah, you can. You knew that going in, that was going to be a possibility. I don't know what you think about that, but it helps me a lot in terms of when they ask for repairs. I said, look, we've already budgeted.
What amount do you budget?
It depends. If it's a, $100,000 house and it's in decent shape, I'll budget maybe $500. $1,000 typically is what I use. And honestly, I've had it happen several times where a seller says, I can't do this. I can't, well, you like your net? Yeah. Okay. Well, we got $1,000 budgeted for that, and the repair is only going to be $800. So you could add $200 more to your net. And it works.
Let's add that in. Oops. Hang on. Yeah,
Something else I do. Something else
yeah.
I was just say something else that I do is I break up that commission to show buyer agent commission, seller agent commission. Just because sometimes a seller will look at that and see commission. They think that's all going to you because you're right there in front of them. And splitting it up makes me feel better anyways when I'm explaining it.
It's a good point. Hey, if all that money went in my pocket, I wouldn't have to sell as many houses as I do. Ha ha. We split this with the buyer's agent, the brokerage team, blah, 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 blah. What we could do here, Bob, is we can factor this formula to be this times 0.01, 1%. We've budgeted about 1% in repairs. Love it. Good job. And that way, it's already in the conversation. Today's real estate market, home inspectors are everywhere. Buyers and buyers agents put a ton of weight on what the generalist home inspector says. They are simply a generalist, not a professional contractor in one certain area. Right. So they'll say, well, the inspector said this. Even though there's no pass or fail, home inspection is up to a buyer's subjective opinion of approval of a home inspection. They put a lot of weight on that, and sometimes they do break and kill deals. Unfortunately, it's just let's remember it's up to the buyer to decide what they want to do or not. and the seller will need to do some repairs sometimes, maybe even if it's an FHA or government-backed loan that the appraiser requires too. So we don't want to forget that. And we'll budget in 1% of repairs here. And if you need to change that number to a flat rate, by all means, go right ahead. And just checking here. Okay, see you in a bit. Always, always, always get their mortgage payoff. This is a conversation where you say, hey, you owe approximately, can I mute him? Can you mute him, Sean? Thanks. Approximately 154,000 is your payoff. And this is exactly how I say this. At closing, you're going to get approximately a little more than $6,000. I wouldn't say you're going to make $6,398.67. You don't know that, because I can promise you one thing: the mortgage payoff will not be $154,000 even. It's going to be something to the penny. So I would always say, when we walk away from closing, you're going to walk out with a check of a little more than $6,000. If the numbers are accurate here, you're going to have about $6,400. Does that work for you, Mr. Seller? Over here, I like to just put in numbers as a reminder: earnest money, closing date, possession, inspections, financing, conventional, subject to selling first. Do they have to sell a house first? Just yes or no. Haven't added that into this one. So when I present an offer, what I do is when we get an offer in, I'll get the offer and pull all of the data from this sheet from the offer. Eventually, Keller Command is going to do that for us automatically until that comes with whatever net sheet they have. Until then, we manually have to do this, and it's good because this is just sinks it home for us to know what's going on here. I'll pull the earnest money, put it right here, pull the closing date, possession, inspections, what type of financing, who is it with, who they pre-approved with, and subject to selling first. And I would put yes, no, or first right of refusal here. Then when I'm presenting the offer, this is the one worksheet that I work off of instead of messing through 8 pages. Now, while I'm presenting an offer, I have this up and the offer. When I'm presenting an offer, it's usually over the phone, and I'm just looking at this offer 5 times, making sure I didn't miss something. And I'll present it, say, hey, this is customary. This is typical. Most of this stuff is typical. You're more than welcome to read through the details here, but I'm just going over the high points here. Remind them that they're the ones signing the contract, not you. Then down here, this is simply, I want to add in 14 that we added. Okay. So down here, if we want to counter at 185 with 3,000, this basically commission goes on 24. Good. If they say, well, we want $9,000 in closing, you just kind of do the math. You're like, all right, we'll counter 185, see what that does. 3 in closing. The commission is automatically formulated. This number here is our seller fees here, and then that gets brought down here for a total of $9,300 approximately to seller. Well, that sounds good, our agent. I'll take care of this, or I can work with 9,000. Let's do it. So then we just counter at 185. All right, I think that covers this sheet. Questions or talking points that we need to cover here? We've been right at a half hour, so not bad. Questions, comments, concerns?
I think it's great. I like it.
Good deal. Ashley, anything in here, you work with these quite a bit, anything in here that I've overlooked? Ashley, no?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I think it looks good. It was helpful to walk through it and just see each of the lines and the different just descriptions. And I did like adding in the the possible repairs and having it separated or writing out the like buyer side versus the listing side. So I thought that was good. Good.
Here's a couple talking points right here. If you escrow money, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, if you escrow money for your taxes and or insurance, this does not account for any balance that you have. Our spreadsheet does not cover their escrow money. Federal law states that after we close, their mortgage company has to mail them the escrow balance. And I call that the escrow balance refund. That is one of the main reasons the title company will ask the buyer or the seller for their new forwarding address, is so that the mortgage company will mail them that check, or maybe they automatically deposit it, okay? Escrow for taxes and insurance, this sheet does not account for that. I call it the escrow balance bonus, refund bonus, okay? Your bank or mortgage company will refund you that money within 30 days after this closing, okay? And that's part of the prepaid. You have to prepay your taxes and insurance. Typically, you know, a few months of taxes and a year or so of insurance. Those are your prepays to set up your escrow accounts when you buy a home. Again, this is the one simple worksheet that we've used for years. We've added in seller's lines, drop this down into .loop, soon to be DocuSign, have the client authorize this. At least you know, at least that proves that you went over this money. So at closing, they can't say, you never told me this. Another element is this is an estimate mortgage payoff. You know, if they tell you to the dollar, put it in there. But when you close in a month or two, that number is going to be a little different, hopefully a little lower, putting more money in their pocket at closing, okay? When we get an offer, say, hey, I just want to make sure when we talked the first time, you owed about 154 on your mortgage. Do you still owe that? Oh, it's down to about 153 now. Okay, you just change it, and that changes the numbers up here and down here automatically.
Hey, Todd, I'm going to interrupt you again for
Correct.
just a second. On an FHA loan, interest is added to the date of closing, so the payoff that they might get might actually be higher when they get to the closing table because they add the interest into the end of the month. So you might want to warn people if they have an FHA loan. Yeah.
Yeah. Great call. Great call. I probably say the word estimated or approximate two dozen times when presenting an offer. I mean, you need to be vague, yet also give facts. Makes sense. Craig, anything in here we missed that we need to cover?
I think it's pretty thorough. Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah. I mean, you can play in here with the BAPS and the listing side. This spreadsheet was built upon my personality. Let's get straight to the point, talk brass tacks, and here's the number you're going to walk away with. Does that work for you? Here's the other important stuff.
The other thing this does, Todd, is I think it really lowers the anxiety of the seller, because they really have no idea what they're going to walk away with, because they don't know everything that's involved. So whenever you go through this with a seller, I think their anxiety, I mean, it's like you can see their anxiety drop when they realize, okay, this is approximately what I'm going to take home. And then now they know they've got the information, so they don't have to worry about that anymore. So that's probably one of the most important pieces of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's something I've learned through the years, to your point of seller's anxiety. Craig, let's role play. Hey, Craig, congratulations. It's Todd. Congratulations. You got a minute? We got an offer on your house.
Yes.
What's your first question?
Florida, here I come.
What's a seller's first question when you say we got an offer on your house?
Well, what is it? Is it a low
How
ball?
much is it?
Yeah, how much is it?
Well, Craig, remember when we met in person at the time we listed your home? I gently reminded you that when we get an offer, we're going to talk about money last, because there are many other important terms of that purchase agreement that if we talk money first, you might forget, or we might not cover some of these other important terms. So although money is one of the most important parts of this contract, there are many other important terms. Okay. Yeah. And then you're probably gonna say, yeah, I remember you told me that. You're just going to kind of tease me and dangle the money. That way I pay attention to everything else. Yeah, right. They're offering, here's the offer details. They're offering $1,000 in earnest money. You know, that's a good faith deposit. I just, and I check in every point. Do you understand how earnest money works, Craig? Yeah, we put it down on our old home, blah, blah, blah. They want to close May 30th, which is probably typical right now. 30-day closing. They're doing a conventional loan, which is good. One of my opinion, if they're not paying cash, one of the best loan products out there. They're wanting the keys to your house 7 days after closing. I think that's pretty generous. A lot of times we see possession at closing right now, but I like 7 days possession. That gives you a full week after we close to make sure you get your stuff out. Because a lot of times if we do possession at closing, something falls through the last day. I'd hate for you to have to move back in after you've already moved out. So having a little buffer is kind of nice. Within the first 10 days of accepted offer, they want to do an inspection. Again, this is just a generalist home inspection. Home inspector is going to go through, please make sure your dishwasher is empty. Access to the attic or basement or crawl space is free and clear of any personal property. Make sure they can have access to the utility panel, that electrical panel. I request that no people or pets be home during the home inspection. That way they could have unbiased, no conversations and just be free to take a look at the home. They are pre-approved with our favorite mortgage company, blah, 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 and they don't have to sell their home before they buy, which is a really big deal because they're, apparently they're renting or moving out of parents' house. We're not a domino. Does that make sense, Craig? Any questions before we get to the money? And
No,
basically just, again, that's my personality, straight to the point, boom, right? Then we present this side over here like we talked about. Make sure we use estimate, approximate, those vague words just to kind of CYA, because you don't want to be held to, well, you said I'd make 12,000 and I'm only making 7. No, here it is right here. Remember that? And especially with Zoom now, if you want to even record it, might not be a bad idea. So hopefully this was helpful, everyone. Anything else, Sean, Bob, Craig, that the Market Center would like to make sure we cover in this call?
I think this was perfect. This is a great spreadsheet, great scripts for our agents. And it keeps it top of mind that this is a state requirement that we have to do. So Thank you so much, Mr. Paxton.
The only thing I want to say is it is a required document. And if you submit it to me and it's not filled out, as some people have, it's going to get rejected.
Yep. It is a compliance document in command. Yep. Great job. Does anyone have any other questions? All right. Hopefully we'll see you at 11:30 for Command with Craig. Bye, everybody.
See y'all.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
My pleasure. See you guys. I'll do this.